Hey there, Misfits. This is Kate.
And this is Kevin.
And this is Emma.
And this is Katie.
Welcome to Horrorwood. Yes, welcome to Horrorwood, Emma and Katie. Misfits, it is our very first crossover collab. We're very excited. If we sound a little different than usual, it's because we're all in separate locations at the moment. So we're recording this slightly differently than how we would normally do. But after a couple of minutes, you won't even think about it.
Kate and I are in the same house.
We are in the same house.
Different down the hallway.
Because I forgot to give him the microphone.
I love that.
Emma and I are in the same house too. She just doesn't realize it.
What?
I've been living in your attic for a month.
Ooh.
It's you.
It's really on brand for us, actually.
Yeah.
We're so thrilled to be joined by Emma and Katie. They are the host of the podcast, Go Get Your Girl. Thank you so much for being on the show. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about what your podcast is about?
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having us. We're super, super excited, super stoked. So we host a rom-com podcast. It's a podcast where we talk about romantic comedy movies. Katie can probably tell you a little bit better. She's better with words. I'm better with personality.
Ouch. Yeah, basically it's just it's what's been described as paper thin conversation between the two of us about some of the best and worst romantic comedies to hit the screens in the last 100 years. We try to do a wide breadth, both in quality and in terms and in time. So we have covered quite a few movies from the 30s and 40s and 50s, as well as more recent ones. In fact, Kevin and Kate were on our last episode that just aired yesterday about the movie My Man Godfrey, which is the jumping off point for this. So it's if you like old Hollywood and maybe want a little break from the violence, we do have some older episodes as well as the more recent rom-coms. So
if you want an after dinner mint for your horror with some lighthearted nonsense fun, tune in to Go Get Your Girl, because we do talk about everything from When Harry Met Sally to The Knight Before Christmas.
That's correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that you guys were like, hey, let's do a collab between our show about rom-coms and your show about death. And we were like, that is a perfect combination.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, as they mentioned, their episode of My Man Godfrey aired yesterday. You can listen to these episodes in either order. You can do ours first and then theirs, or theirs, so you get an idea of like what the movie was actually about. For our show today, Kevin and I decided we'd focus on the two main stars of My Man Godfrey, Carole Lombard and William Powell, one of whom died young and the other who had multiple lovers that died young.
Oh.
It's not as sus as you think, but it's interesting. You mentioned on the show yesterday that prior to filming My Man Godfrey, Carole Lombard and William Powell were married. They divorced, but they could not quit each other, and they got back together, but they didn't remarry. And by the time they filmed My Man Godfrey, they were friends, but there was nothing romantic going on between them. And this is why you should definitely check out Go Get Your Girl, yesterday's episode, because you can learn a lot about what Carole and William's real life relationship was like simply based on that movie. I'm going to start with Carole Lombard, if that's cool.
Sounds great.
If you've ever listened to me cover a topic, Katie and Emma, you might know that I like to learn every single detail about the person's life and then regurgitate it all back to you. But since this is kind of a different episode today and we're covering two people, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to try really hard not to do that. I did edit this way down. So I'm going to try.
Is there going to be like a special like Patreon episode where we can hear all the facts that we miss?
Well, I was thinking, so the 85th anniversary of her death is coming up, not this coming January, but the next. So like in a year and a half.
Oh,
I think I'm going to do a big old deep dive just on Carole because she warrants a two-parter, I feel. And I'm trying to give you just like the Cliff Notes today.
Amazing.
But like detailed Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to focus on her most significant romances since Go Get Your Girl is all about the rom-coms, as well as, of course, the bigger tragedies in her life, including her untimely death. So Carole Lombard was not her real name. Later in her career, the studio wanted her to change her name, and Carole Lombard is just what she went with. And she originally spelled Carole Carol, but then there was a misprint in some credit that had an E on the end. And she was like, "Ooh, I kind of like that." And later in her career, she told a director, and this is her actual quote, "I think that E made the whole fucking difference." So she was known as having one of the foulest mouths in Hollywood, and I absolutely love her for that. She was born Jane Alice Peters in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the youngest of three. She had two older brothers. And her family, particularly on her mom's side, was richy rich, like super rich. Carole's maternal great-grandfather was the wealthiest man in Indiana. And at the time of his death in 1903, his fortune was estimated to be $25 million in 1903 money.
Damn.
That's a
lot
rich
of
guy.
money. Yeah. Listeners to our podcast will know how much I love an inflation calculator.
We love an inflation calculator here.
Yeah. 1903, $25 million. Let's see.
It's like 9.5 something.
It is. That did not work. That's never happened. It just said NAN.
It's too much
1903 is too early. It only goes from 1913. So let's do 1913.
It's close to $1 billion, I will say.
$814 million. Yeah.
That's
so much money. 10 years prior to that would be like, I think it was
Even
like
more,
950 million.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's like Hunt the Poor money. Like that's that's so much money.
Hunt the Poor money?
It concerns me, Emma, that is that immediately what you thought of. That's the first thing that sprung to mind.
Yeah, that was a quick response there.
Yeah.
Well, my husband just went to a really fancy smancy wedding, and he said,
hunted the poor?
No, he's like, I felt so poor and in such the wrong tax bracket that I didn't know if I was a guest or if I was invited to be hunted by the other attendees.
I mean,
good.
it's on brand with the movie, right? Like hunting the poor.
Yeah, right?
That's
Oh,
true.
they do
That's
that.
It really is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carole's mom, Bess, was quick-witted, super intelligent, adventurous, and she had also dabbled in acting, like in some local plays. So Carole definitely took after her mom in a lot of ways, and the two of them were really close. Shortly before Bess married Carole's dad, Fred, he was involved in a serious elevator accident at the washing machine factory where he worked.
Oh.
Kevin's face just now was like, oh my God.
The washing machine factory?
Yes.
Elevator accident at the washing machine factory sounds like an emo band album from the early 2000s.
He got shaken.
I think he got like kind of trapped in the elevator, like partially in, partially out in some kind of situation. And it basically destroyed his leg. Like he didn't have use of that leg anymore, but it also gave him these intense headaches where, I mean, he would just like have migraines, and over time they just got worse and worse, and it caused him to have these violent outbursts. So unfortunately, this took a huge toll on Bess, not to mention Carole and her two older brothers. And Carole had looked up to her dad when she was young, but because he was in such bad health by that point, because of that accident at the washing What? Blah, at the washing machine factory? Washing machine factory, washing machine factory, washing machine factory. Okay.
That's a tongue twister.
I had to say it 3 times fast.
It's the new theater thing.
Washing machine.
It's the
factory,
warm-up.
Washing
Washing
machine.
factory. Washing machine
Washing
factory.
machine factory.
Elevator accident at the washing machine factory. Elevator accident at the
Washing
washing
machine
machine factory.
Going up to people like the neutral masks.
Right? Washing machine factory.
Well, anyone who's not a theater person is just like, what the fuck?
What are you talking about?
So unfortunately, Carole was never really close with her dad. The brothers, like, they knew him before. And so they saw that change within the family, like after their dad got hurt. So that kind of sucked. But yeah, their dad was basically always in pain. And his demeanor led to a lot of tension within the family because he would have these violent outbursts that would come out of the blue. And they never really knew when he was going to just fly off the handle. So everyone was kind of like on edge. And according to Larry Swindell's book, Screwball, The Life of Carole Lombard, Fred became abusive toward Bess and the children witnessed it. I couldn't really find anything to verify that. And there's some other things in Swindell's book where I'm like, I don't know about that. But I could also see that being totally plausible. So before his accident, Bess and Fred were happy as can be, but afterwards, their relationship pretty much crumbled. And Carole told an interviewer in 1934, quote, "Contrary to the general notion, I had a horrible childhood because my parents were dreadfully unhappy in their marriage. It left scars on my mind and on my heart."
Same girl.
Yeah.
So Bess decided maybe it'd be best for her and the kids to get away from for a while, take a little breather from Fred, get out of Fort Wayne for a bit. And Fred was all for it. He was like, totally, do what you got to do. That's a great idea. Get some space. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to try to like work with my doctors, figure something out. So Bess's friends had recommended California as a great place for them to take a vacation, which is how they settled on Los Angeles. And within days of arriving, Bess decided they were never moving back. They were just never going to go back to Indiana.
They were just like Miley. They hopped off the plane at LAX.
LAX.
With a dream and a cardigan.
Yeah.
Carole had just turned 6 years old. So though Bess and Fred never officially divorced, they no longer considered themselves married. Because why would you at that point? So growing up without her dad around only made Carole that much closer to her mom, and in turn, her mom's friends. And one of their neighbors that Bess soon became friends with was Oral Platt. And it was Oral who got Bess and Carole into the Baha'i faith. Guys, I wish that you all could see Kevin's facial reactions during this.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some really
Oral
interesting...
Platt?
How do you spell it? O-R-A-O?
O-R-O-L.
Well, same.
I think that was her middle name that she went by. I think it was like Laura was her first name or something. But anyway.
Wait,
Oh,
this
it's a
is
woman.
lady?
It's a lady.
I assumed it. I just think Oral Roberts anytime I hear the word Oral as a name, so I
Yeah.
assumed it was a.
Yeah.
It made me think of Orville Peck.
Sure.
I
yeah.
just saw him in Cabaret.
Did
I went
you?
to
Was
New
it
York.
good?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
fun.
so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So good. Loved it. Loved it.
This Oral was not in Cabaret and was not male. She was a neighbor of Bess, and she was part of the Baha'i faith, which was like the new religion that was kind of taking over LA at the time. It originated in the Middle East and had, made its way to the States. And Bess had always been anti-organized religion, but one of the things that won her over with Baha'i is that it stressed equality between men and women. It does share a lot of the negative things most organized religions share, though, so it's not awesome. But Bess and Carole became regulars in Oral's home, learning about the Baha'i faith, and it became a huge part of their lives. Oral also introduced Bess to numerology, this idea that certain numbers are associated with certain events and personality traits. And Bess even took up a little side hustle of giving people numerology readings. She got super into it.
Ooh.
Are you guys into numerology at all?
I want to be.
No.
I am not. It's come up in another episode of ours. I think came up in the Viper Room because Johnny Depp was like into it, and so it was all about like when the opening
Sounds like
was going to
something
be and
he'd be
stuff.
into. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah.
But just put Bess's love of numerology in your pocket for now because it's going to come back.
Cool.
From a very young age, Carole had dreams of becoming a movie star, and Bess believed it was important to encourage her kids to go after whatever it was they wanted. So she wasn't like the kind of mom who was like, no, you need to go to school and do this, this, and this. She was considered very progressive for her time, and she was like, girl, you want to act? I'll put you in some acting classes. Let's do it. And also remember, like, she has all the money in the world. So
Correct, yes.
So one day when Carole was 12 years old, Carole and her family were visiting friends, and Carole was outside playing with one of her brothers. She was super athletic, loved sports. She was always playing basketball or boxing with her brothers or whatever. And director Alan Dwan, who lived nearby, spotted her and thought, this girl would be perfect for this small role I'm casting for this film. It was the role of the leading man's kid sister. And that's how she got her first screen credit. A lot of her part was cut, as that tends to happen. And the film overall was soon forgotten by the industry. But nevertheless, it gave Carole a little taste of what could be. In 1924, when she was 15, she was voted the prettiest girl in school and named Queen of the May. The school had a May Day carnival as a fundraiser. And as Queen of the May, Carole sort of presided over it all. And this wasn't just your average high school. It was Fairfax High, where the children of some of Hollywood's heaviest hitters attended. So it really wasn't that surprising that a talent scout showed up at the May Day Carnival. I wish talent scouts had just like shown up at school when I was going to school. That is not a thing that happened.
I thought that that's what happened, and that I thought that's how you got into really like prestigious colleges. And when no talent scouts came to my senior production of Oklahoma, I was heartbroken.
You were like, what happened, guys?
Right?
Emma, who were you in your senior production of Oklahoma?
I was. Who do you think I was?
Ado Annie.
I wish. No, I was Aunt Eller.
Oh.
The elderly woman.
Yes, I was the elderly
that some
woman.
high schooler always has to play. Yeah.
Yep. So this talent scout was Alfred Reeves, and he was the general manager of Charlie Chaplin's production company.
Oh.
That's a big one.
Big name. He spotted 15-year-old Carole Lombard, aka Jane Peters, and said, kid, you've got that it factor. So he brought her into a meeting with Charlie Chaplin the very next day.
But what?
What? Yeah. Like he was just like, hey, you're great. You've got it. You're going to meet like one of the biggest stars in the world. She did a screen test for him for the film The Gold Rush, but didn't get the part. However, her screen test got passed around to others in the industry, which led to more meetings. And eventually she landed a contract at Fox. She was just 16 when she signed with Fox and had basically no experience except for her like one small role that was mostly cut. And Fox was like, yeah, I don't think this girl has what it takes. So they fired her. They let her go. And Carole agreed with him, though. She was like, I was a terrible actress, and then they threw me out. They should have done it long before. So she was on board.
Love that.
Around the same time, she appeared as an extra in the film Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ. Kevin talked about this in the Ramon Navarro episode because all of these celebrities who weren't famous yet were extras in that film, which was crazy.
Wow.
Is it just because they needed so many people that they
I think so.
hired everyone? Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely insane.
So this is not the famous Ben-Hur, but this is a silent Ben-Hur that happened 20 years before the other one.
Yes.
Yes.
And Clark Gable was also an extra in this movie, and he was not known yet either. They, I don't think, had any scenes together. They like didn't know each other then, but they were working on the same set at the same time, which is kind of fun because more than a decade later, they'd get married. But we're not there yet.
Okay.
So Carole was kind of freelancing at that point. She's not under contract anywhere, but she's still going out on auditions. And then one foggy night, Carole went out with her friend Harry Cooper to a basketball game. On their way back, Harry was behind the wheel with Carole in the passenger seat. And they drive up a hill. If you know LA at all, you know, like the big hilly streets, like La Cienega. It's like you feel like you're going straight up almost. There was one car in front of them on the road when the traffic light up ahead turned red. Traffic lights were very new back then. I think there were all of 5 in the entire city. So it's kind of a new thing. They weren't used to it. And there's some debate about what happened next. Either Harry didn't stop and rear-ended the car in front of him, or both cars stopped in time, but the brakes of that first car gave out and rolled backwards into Harry's car. In my opinion, pretty sure Harry was at fault. I just feel like he wasn't paying attention. Whatever the scenario, Harry's windshield shattered and shards of glass went right into Carole's face, cutting her up pretty badly. She had a deep gash from the corner of her nose to across her left cheekbone. She had cuts around her mouth and deep cuts very close to her left eye. And according to Robert Matzen, who wrote the book Fireball, Carole Lombard and the Mystery of Flight 3, Carole almost bled to death that night.
Oh my God.
Oh.
I don't know about that. I don't know that cuts to the face could cause you to bleed to death.
It like Jokered her. Is that?
It was like Black Dahlia, just like, I don't know about that. But she was hurt pretty badly. The cut across her cheek went all the way down to the bone, and her upper lip was almost severed.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she was pretty bloody. Blood was like basically pouring into her mouth. Oh. Harry, who was not injured at all.
Of course not. Of course not.
Right? Took Carole to the hospital, and her mom, Bess, rushed there to see her, obviously. And the doctors told Bess that Carole would have a pretty nasty scar the rest of her life, and there just wasn't much they could do about it. But Bess was like, yeah, no, my daughter's going to have a career, and I'm not into that. So she's like, hey, doc, I've been hearing about this new plastic surgery. Facelifts and other cosmetic procedures were just starting to become a thing in LA, particularly among film stars. So Bess was like, do you think you could do that for my daughter? And the doctor said, well, it's really risky and it would have to be done while the wound is still fresh. And Bess was like, all right, let's go.
Oh my God.
And the doctor said, oh, we don't have the equipment for that. Oh, and also there's no one here that knows how to do it. So Bess was like, let me make some calls. She gets on the phone, calls around to her Hollywood friends. Within minutes, she had a specialist on the way. The surgeon told Bess that if Carole was put under anesthesia, the muscles in her face wouldn't be able to relax properly, and it could affect the way her face appeared once healed. So like they were saying anesthesia could permanently alter her face. So Bess told the surgeon, well, don't use anesthesia.
Ah.
God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Sorry, there was like a fleet of ducks just like...
I heard that too, Kate. What was
geese,
that?
I think it was geese just like
Okay,
flying.
it's crazy.
I was like, what's happening?
It's the birds.
It's the birds. 17-year-old Carole went through a 4-hour plastic surgery operation on her face with no anesthesia.
Oh
They
my
taped
God.
her eyes down, which is something they do in surgery anyway to prevent your eyes from getting dried out, prevent debris from getting in there. But you're typically asleep for that. So she's lying there, wide awake with her eyes taped closed, gripping her mom's hand through the pain. Carole said she had to get about 25 stitches. So they're just like sewing her face together.
Oh my God. That is terrifying.
Terrifying.
That's some serial killer stuff right there. Like that's something you'd see on Criminal Minds.
And she was just 17. That's so young. After it was all said and done, the surgeon told Carole she would probably never regain normal muscular movement in her face, and she'd probably need more surgery down the road. And he said, quote, the most important thing for you to do is to keep your head as motionless as possible for at least a week. Do not move.
Wow.
What?
Just think about that, like trying to keep your head completely still while you're bathing yourself, getting dressed in the morning, eating. She only did liquid food through a straw.
And this is like before TV.
Yeah, she didn't have anything to do.
Right? So what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Having your mom read to you, I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
And put a straw up to your mouth.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sat like that for 10 days straight, not moving. She did make a full recovery, although she did always have scars on her face. But apparently no one had much faith that she could ever possibly look good on screen again. My word, you've got a scar. So she did have a difficult time getting acting jobs after that. Carole and her mom ended up suing Harry, Carole's friend that was driving. They sued him for $35,000,
Whoa.
which is why I think it probably was his fault.
Yeah.
And they ended up settling out of court for $3,000.
Yeah, because they didn't need the money.
No, they did not need the money. She didn't know if she was going to work again, but obviously she did. She continued landing gigs and doing well, and eventually Paramount took notice and put her under contract. And who was the top male star at Paramount at the time? Kevin, you got to know this.
William Powell.
There it is.
Ah! Pew, pew, pew.
Could you imagine if I got that wrong and everyone was like, what are we even doing here?
Like, Kevin, did you rehearse the right topic or research the right topic?
I actually did a story about someone else.
Oh. Surprise.
Paramount cast Carole to play opposite William Powell in 2 films, Man of the World and Ladies' Man. Carole had been a fan of his work before ever meeting him, so she was thrilled to work with him. And soon, things got spicy, and they got married. She was 22, he was 38. They could not have been more different. She was like the wild child with the potty mouth, and he was Mr. Sophisticated. During her marriage to William Powell, Carole starred opposite Clark Gable in the romantic comedy Emma or Katie, do you know it?
Carole Lombard, Clark
oh
Gable.
Oh my God.
Not off the top of my head, no.
No, not off the top of my head, but it's something that I wanted to watch ever since we learned about their relationship.
It's called No Man of Her Own.
No Man of Her Own.
The two of them hated each other. Clark thought Carole cursed way too much, was too rowdy. Basically, she was too much woman for him, and he found her irritating. That's kind of what it boiled down to. And Carole thought he was too reserved and dull and overly conceited. She didn't feel any spark between them, saying, quote, "We did all kinds of hot love scenes, and I never got any kind of tremble out of him at all." And apparently, like, he's kind of notorious for being a really bad lay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Really?
Clark Gable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He slept with a
I
lot of
didn't
women, but it wasn't great.
Oh. Well,
I bet he
that's
was lazy with it.
Yeah.
He probably
Probably.
thought he was so hot that he didn't have to try. He was just
He's like, I don't have to do anything.
Probably not. Em and I spent a lot of time on our It Happened One Night episode thirsting after him, so that's embarrassing for
Yeah,
us.
that's a bit of a cold shower to my spank bank there.
Did not have Spank Bank on the list of things I thought would come up in this episode. So they couldn't stand each other, but they were also each married at the time. However, Carole and William found that they were just too incompatible, and their flame burned out pretty quick. They divorced after just 2 years. Soon, Carole began dating Russ Columbo. He was an actor, but primarily a singer. And we're going to do a full episode on Russ Columbo at some point because he definitely warrants it. But what you need to know for this episode is that he was kind of obsessed with Carole. Like, scarily obsessed.
Oh, no.
He fell for her hard to the point where she was all that mattered to him anymore. Red flag, red flag.
Red flag.
Mhm.
She told an interviewer, quote, "He was completely content to sit of an evening and just watch me. Without saying a word, without moving. He had no life apart from me. He was lost if we were not together." Red flag.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Nope. She compared their relationship to that of mother and child. Red flag, where she felt like she had to take care of him.
Yeah.
No. No one wants that. And for Carole, Russ wasn't the only person she was interested in, because she still had the hots for her ex-husband, William Powell. And even after they divorced, they continued hooking up for months. I gotta say, I kind of love them together. They're very cute. She even ditched Russ Columbo during his birthday weekend to go shack up with William.
Carole.
Yeah.
Damn.
She was spicy. Russ found out about it because he was tracking her whereabouts, red flag, and he wrote her a letter about it, saying he knew she had cheated, but he forgave her because he loved her.
Oh,
dude,
Jesus Christ.
Have some self-respect. He wrote her tons of love letters saying things like, "My great love, the ideal of my dreams, perfection of woman. I love you with my heart, mind, body, and soul. We must progress together." There are tons of letters just like this. And when she wrote him back, she was basically like, "Oh, that's sweet."
Thank you.
Exactly. I'm going to post a link to these letters. I found them on caroleandco.livejournal.com. They're very telling. On September 2nd, 1934, Carole had plans to meet Russ for dinner, but that dinner never happened. Earlier in the day, Russ was at his friend's house, photographer Lansing Brown Jr. Brown had a couple of old Civil War pistols that he bought as relics and kept on his desk. He said, quote, "I frequently fooled with them when my hands were idle. It was just a habit." Weird habit, okay?
Just fondling guns.
Yeah, I just like to fondle my guns.
Wink, wink.
He said there were cobwebs in the barrels. He'd looked into the muzzle of each gun 100 times. He'd clicked the hammers 1,000 times. Basically, they're antique pieces. On this particular Sunday afternoon, Russ was sitting in a chair telling his friend about a successful preview he'd had for his newest film. And while Russ was talking, Brown was clicking the hammer of one of the guns while holding an unlit match in the other hand. Now, he'd had this thing for years. He'd clicked the hammer 1,000 times before, like he said. But what he didn't know was that there was a charge of powder behind a heavy slug in the gun. And during one of those mindless hammer clicks, the match he was holding in the other hand came between the hammer and the firing pin, causing the gun to discharge. I know nothing about guns, but apparently you don't want something coming between a hammer and a firing pin, I'm guessing.
Never. And we've always said that.
Especially not a match, I would imagine.
I guess not. I mean, it wasn't lit. I don't know how it works. Anyway, so
Yeah.
the slug hit the desk, ricocheted off, and hit Russ just above his left eye, lodging in his brain. He was pronounced dead at the hospital less than 6 hours later. After Russ's death, Carole told an interviewer that in the weeks prior, she had sensed tragedy was looming, and she said she had a horrible feeling the night before he was killed, and she was, quote, "a frenzy of nerves." She was like, "Oh, if only I'd made plans with him during the day that day, he wouldn't have gone to his friends, or if Lansing had talked with Russ on Saturday, Russ wouldn't have gone to his house on Sunday." It's all those things you think of, like, oh, if only this, maybe he'd still be there. But Carole believed he was meant to die that day, one way or another, which is crazy. She said, quote, "I'm certain that no matter what we might have done, Russ would have died that day. I'm convinced that if he had not met his death through that ricocheting bullet, he would have met it some other way, in an automobile accident perhaps. His number was up."
Whoa.
Did she curse him?
Pretty cold.
It feels like she
Harsh.
cursed him, right?
And he's only 26.
That's so
Yeah.
young.
He was young, yeah. It's interesting that she'd had sort of a premonition about his death, but not her own.
Yeah.
That same year, Carole appeared opposite John Barrymore in the screwball comedy 20th Century, which is considered to be one of the pioneering films of screwball comedy. 20th Century put Carole's career on another level, and it made her a huge star. She would eventually become known as the Queen of Screwball, and her Oscar-nominated screwball role is, of course, for her part in
My Man Godfrey.
My Man Godfrey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, what if I get this wrong?
It's the only Oscar she was nominated for. Playing opposite her ex-husband, William Powell. By this point, they were no longer hooking up, but they were really good friends. And one of you mentioned in yesterday's episode of Go Get Your Girl, William actually requested Carole for this role because it was so similar to what their marriage had actually been like, which I just love.
She wore him down, basically.
Exactly. Down.
She was like the wild child and kind of like all over the place. And he was very sensible and sophisticated.
Which leads me to believe that her mom is probably like the mom in My Man Godfrey, too, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it could be, actually. I hadn't thought about that, but
Yeah.
that does track.
Yeah.
There was nothing romantic between them offset. William had moved on to Jean Harlow, and Carole had moved on to the guy she found dull and conceited just a few years prior, Clark Gable. They had reconnected at the Mayfair Ball in January of 1936, and you could cut that sexual tension with a knife. But when Clark invited her to spend the night with him that evening, she turned him down. It was very cat and mouse. They were pretty much inseparable after that night. However, there was one problem. Clark was still married. He'd been separated from his wife, Rhea, but she refused to grant him a divorce, especially once she found out that he was involved with Carole. So Carole decides to put an end to that by breaking into Rhea's house, shouting, this is a quote, "Hi, you old witch. If you want to call me a homebreaker now, it's your fucking privilege."
Whoa.
I love her so much.
I do too. She's very spicy and bold.
Right?
Rhea eventually agreed to a divorce after that in 1939. And a month after it was finalized, Clark took a break from filming Gone with the Wind to elope with Carole. But the marriage ran hot and cold. For one, Carole desperately wanted to become a mother. It's rumored she had 2 miscarriages, though that's not confirmed anywhere. But the reason people suspected is because she had 2 hospital stays, one for an appendectomy, allegedly, and another for a, quote, minor operation, which was performed by a gynecologist, but it was never revealed what the operation was. Many think she must have had a medical condition that made her infertile, but she was also a chain smoker and drank a lot of caffeine and alcohol. So those things wouldn't have helped her if she had gotten pregnant. They didn't know the warnings back then.
Yeah.
In addition to fertility troubles, multiple sources state that Clark cheated on Carole frequently and that she knew about it. I don't know about that. He was known to hook up with his co-stars, and he did sleep with a lot of women. But I think if Carole knew about it, I just don't foresee her sticking around, because she was...
Seems like she would break into that woman's house.
Yeah, she was pretty independent, and she was very devoted to him, although their relationship does seem reminiscent of hers with William Powell, where she's like this rowdy free spirit, and he's this quiet, reserved guy. The rumor that seemed to get under her skin the most was that he was having an affair with his co-star at the time, Lana Turner, because Lana and Clark had really good on-screen chemistry and both had been known to hook up with their co-stars. So Carole decided to see this chemistry for herself, and she would just show up to set on multiple occasions, not only to observe how Clark and Lana acted toward one another, but also to intimidate Lana. And Lana was intimidated by her. She would walk off set and go hide out in her trailer until Carole left.
Oh my God.
Lana Turner has admitted to multiple affairs with various men, but vehemently denies ever getting involved with Clark Gable. And I believe her, because why would she admit to like Tyrone Power and like all of these other guys, but not him? I don't think there was anything going on between them. I think they just had good on-screen chemistry, but I don't think anything ever happened between them. But some sources, including Robert Matzen, who wrote that book Fireball I mentioned, claim that Lana Turner remained the subject of heated arguments between Carole and Clark. When the U.S. entered World War II, both Carole and Clark wanted to do their part. Members of the Screen Actors Guild formed the Hollywood Victory Committee, with Clark Gable serving as its first chairman. And the committee's purpose was basically to help performers contribute to the war effort, whether it be through bond drives or entertaining the troops. And Clark enlisted Carole to be the first actress to help with the war bond effort by doing a tour. She was going to stop in Salt Lake City, Chicago, and then Indianapolis. Rumor has it that on the night before she left for the tour, she and Clark got into a big old fight about Lana Turner. According to author Warren G. Harris, who wrote the 1974 book Gable and Lombard, which was later turned into a movie, Carole begged Clark to go with her on the tour, but he said no because he was getting ready to start his next film with Lana Turner. There's no way of knowing if she begged him to come with her or if they even fought about Lana, but a lot of authors like to speculate.
Yeah.
Clark stayed in California, but asked his close friend and press agent, Otto Winkler, who'd also served as best man in Clark and Carole's wedding, to accompany Carole and kind of look after her. And Carole also brought along her mom, Bess, because they did everything together. So the three of them, Carole, Bess, and Otto, traveled by train across the country in what was a very successful tour. Carole gave it 110%. She's attending events. She's singing the Star-Spangled Banner. She's leading flag raising, signing autographs, and getting people to hand over that cold hard cash for the war effort. The goal was to raise $500,000. Carole raised more than $2 million.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Jesus.
Girl,
She had
get
a
it.
nonprofit development career ahead of her.
Yeah, she didn't even know. So ahead of her time. I've got a little clip. This is when she's in Indianapolis. It's kind of like her last big speech before she left the tour.
Leaving you now, I want you all to join me in raising your hands and making the sign of victory. The V sign popularized by our famous ally, of course, is the Winston Churchill. Heads and hands up, America. Let's give a rousing cheer that will be heard in Berlin and Tokyo.
And people were like, yes, here's all my money. Once the tour was over and it was time to head back to California, Carole didn't like the idea of a 3-day train ride. She wanted to fly instead. The same rumor mill that says she and Clark fought over Lana Turner also says that the reason she wanted to fly rather than take the train is because she was worried Clark was cheating on her back home and she wanted to get back to Clark as quickly as possible. We don't know. Bess and Otto were both against flying back. For one thing, the number of available flights were limited because of wartime restrictions. The flight from Indianapolis to Burbank was scheduled to leave at 4 a.m. the next morning, January 16th, 1942. And it would be making multiple stops along the way. And the group was tired. Otto suffered from air sickness, so he really didn't like the idea of flying back. And he was like, let's just get a hotel and sleep for the night, and then we'll get a train in the morning. But Carole didn't want to do that. She wanted to get back to California as soon as possible. Her mom, Bess, had never flown on a plane before, and she had her own reasons for not wanting to fly. Prior to leaving California to go on this tour, Bess had visited an astrologer, as she did from time to time. And this astrologer allegedly told her, stay off airplanes in 1942, which is kind of like a broad warning, but supposedly that's what was said. And Bess told Carole, don't take that plane. So it's time to pull out that whole Bess is really into numerology thing. Bess was concerned about the numbers associated with the flight. It was scheduled to leave on the 16th, and in numerology, 16 can be considered a warning sign of potential dangers like accidents, unexpected life-altering events, and death. Then there was the plane number itself. The flight they were planning to leave on was TWA Flight 3. There were 3 people in their group, and Carole was 33 and 3 months old at the time. Typically in numerology, 3 is considered a positive number, but Bess was like, no, there's too many 3s. So Bess and Otto both tried to convince Carole to take the train. Carole said, well, the only fair way to decide this is to flip a coin. Heads, we fly back. Tails, we take the train. The coin came up heads. Reluctant, Bess and Otto gave in. The flight originated in New York. By the time it arrived in Indianapolis, it was already an hour and a half behind schedule. Carole, Bess, and Otto arrived at the airport shortly after 4 a.m., which was when the flight was originally supposed to leave. So had it been on time, they would have missed it because they got there after 4. The 3 of them boarded the plane, headed for California. From there, TWA Flight 3 was scheduled to stop in St. Louis, Missouri, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Winslow, Arizona, Boulder City, Nevada, then finally arrive in Burbank. Each stop along the way encountered some sort of delay, whether it was to refuel, let passengers off, which also meant like getting their luggage off and all of that. So the flight is just getting further and further behind schedule. In Albuquerque, a new flight crew took over, which was veteran pilot Captain Wayne Williams, age 41, co-pilot First Officer Morgan Gillette, age 25, and flight attendant Alice Getz, age 25. In addition to the new crew, 15 soldiers boarded the plane, and all the civilian passengers, including Carole, Bess, and Otto, were asked to give up their seats to make room for the soldiers. But Carole refused. She argued that since she had been on a government mission selling defense war bonds, she had the same right as the soldiers did to be on the plane. So she and the other 2 in her party were allowed to stay. This put the plane slightly over the weight limit, but reportedly it wasn't enough to cause a problem. By now, TWA Flight 3 was close to 3 hours behind schedule, and Captain Williams was looking to make up some time. Although originally scheduled to stop next in Winslow, Arizona to refuel, he determined that they actually had enough fuel to get to the stop after that, which was Boulder City. So he radioed into TWA in Burbank, and they were like, yeah, that's totally fine. You're clear to go straight to Boulder City. However, by now it was evening and it was getting dark out. Keep in mind, Carole, Bess, and Otto boarded in Indianapolis at around 5:30 in the morning. It's now more than 12 hours later. Boulder City was only meant to be used as a daytime runway because it did not have lights. Captain Williams realized it wouldn't be safe to land there because it was too dark. Las Vegas was just another 20 miles and it did have lights, so although it was never a scheduled stop on the route, Williams radioed to say, hey, actually, we're going to Vegas instead. Great, no problem. The plane refueled in Vegas and departed at 7:07 p.m. toward its final destination of Burbank, California. Co-pilot Morgan Gillette took over the controls after takeoff. Under normal circumstances, the flight path from Vegas to Los Angeles would have been marked with lighted beacons, but because of the war, the system had been shut off out of concern Japanese warplanes would attack. There was an alternate navigation device, a radio device that would project signals for pilots to follow. So the fact that the beacons weren't lit shouldn't have been a problem. However, Flight 3 had bigger issues. When Captain Williams chose to skip Boulder City and instead land in Vegas, he failed to change the flight plan. His co-pilot, Gillette, was the one who actually filled out the form in Albuquerque, but the captain had not signed off on it, even though it was a requirement to do so. Had they flown out of Boulder City as planned, they were to fly 218 degrees northwest. The degree of the flight wasn't changed to accommodate for flying out of Vegas. So flying 218 degrees out of Vegas sent the plane in a direction headed straight for the snow-covered Potosi Mountain. Around 20 minutes after takeoff, resident Willard George saw the plane passing overhead, and it looked to him like the tail was bobbing up and down and acting in a strange manner. And he said, quote, it seemed to be out of control for a time, as though someone was fighting in the cockpit. Moments later, residents in the area heard a massive explosion that sounded like thunder, then saw a huge flash and then flames. Flight 3 had crashed into a vertical cliff, failing to clear it by just about 80 feet. There were no survivors. The cause of the crash was ruled pilot error. Captain Williams didn't change the flight plan. He didn't sign off on the form, nor did he employ that alternate navigation device, the radio compass. Or if he did, it wasn't working properly. I don't think the crash was intentional on the pilot's part. I think by the time they realized they were on the wrong path, it was too late. And Gillette, who was behind the controls, was probably trying to navigate away from the mountain, which could have caused the plane to look like it was bobbing up and down. We're not sure. Maybe Captain Williams was trying to take over the controls in that last second to avoid the collision, but I don't think that they were fighting, but that remains a mystery. Carole Lombard died at the age of 33. Clark Gable and William Powell were both devastated. Gable had been at the airport in Burbank awaiting Carole's arrival.
No.
This is something I always think about when there's like a plane crash that's like close to its landing, because I'm like, all those people are there waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a motorcycle, I think.
Oh, yeah. I live by a highway.
When Gable learned of the crash, he immediately flew to Nevada and even tried making his way up the mountain himself to try and find his wife. And it was nighttime. It's like the middle of the night. It's snowy on the mountain. Like, conditions were not good. And they were in an area that's nearly impossible to reach. So he eventually just had to come back down. The bodies of everyone on board were badly mangled and burned, and the only way search crews identified Carole was by the diamond and ruby crusted pin she was wearing that Clark Gable had given her. She and her mother are buried next to each other in Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery in Glendale, California. And despite remarrying, Clark Gable requested to be buried next to Carole when he died. So, which he is, he's next to her. There is still wreckage from TWA Flight 3 at the crash site on Potosi Mountain, particularly the bigger pieces from the engine and stuff that were too difficult to remove because of how hard it is to get to the site. And here's my segue, which isn't really a segue at all, to go from Carole Lombard to Kevin telling us about William Powell. Clark Gable and William Powell starred in the 1934 film Manhattan Melodrama, which is the film John Dillinger was watching at the Biograph Theater here in Chicago when he was killed by FBI agents. What? Not a segue, but just a little fun fact to take us away from that plane crash.
And now...
That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
It's not one of Emma's fun facts. Emma's
Yeah.
I don't know the song.
That's very close. This is Katie's fun facts. Kate's fun facts.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'm going to get into William Powell, everybody. Exciting.
Get into it.
Get into him. Well, you know. Oh, no.
Oh,
anyway,
no.
So let's talk about William Powell. Before he was the silver screen's suavest sleuth, William Powell was just a bright, curious kid named William Horatio Powell, born on July 29th, 1892 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was the only child of Nettie Manila and Horatio Warren Powell. His father was an accountant by trade. Good times, lots of fun to be had doing that. His parents had big hopes for William. They didn't really want him to be an actor. They wanted him to be a lawyer. So when he was growing up, they were all like, hey, you're going to be a lawyer. You talk really well. And like, you're really, an out there like person. And so when he was a kid and adults would say, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? He would just be like, lawyer, not knowing what that meant whatsoever. But they were like, that's what they're telling me. So that's what we're going to do.
That's what I'm going with here.
100%. When William was around 15, the Powell family picks up and moves to Kansas City, Missouri. It was in the heart of the Midwest that his interest in performing really started to take shape. High school was where the acting bug bit him hard. He joined the Glee Club. He was in everything. He was super into it. He threw himself into drama, threw himself into those productions, and fell in love with stage acting first. So his mother often took him to vaudeville shows, and she played a huge part in nurturing that interest in theater, which I think is really sweet. Like, Kate, do you remember when we were talking about John Eric Hexum and like
Oh yeah.
his mom did the same? She would take him to New York and see all the shows, and she would sit in a cafe
Oh,
across the
that's
street while he
right.
went to watch the show.
Because she didn't have enough money to pay
She
for
didn't have
both
enough
of
money.
them.
Yeah, so she took him and
Stop. Oh my
So sweet.
God. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
That's really sweet.
So, despite William's growing passion for performance, he tried to meet his parents' expectations of becoming a lawyer, and he briefly enrolled at the University of Kansas with plans to study law, and that did not last long whatsoever. So, just 1 week into his college career, he was like, "No, I can't. This is bullshit. I hate it, and I'm leaving after a week." He was like, "I love performing, love the theater, love the stage, going to New York, peace," and just went to New York City to live out those dreams. But dreams need funding.
They sure do.
And William didn't have much money. So he goes and works for a while at the Kansas City Telephone Company, trying to save up enough for tuition to attend the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. The money came up short until he asked a wealthy aunt of his back in Pennsylvania to help him.
It's good to have wealthy relatives.
Yeah.
He asked her for $1,400 and she gave him $700.
Oh, well, she sounds like a bitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was still enough to like get him with what he had saved to get to New York and pay for the tuition. And I read in a book about his life that it took him he did pay her back, and it took him 13 years to do that.
Oh, what a sweet, sweet man.
He's a cutie pie. Anyway.
Yeah.
As we established in yesterday's episode on your show.
Right, a little cutie pie.
Cutie pie. So he moves to New York in 1912 and officially enrolls in the school and starts living his dreams. William graduated the following year and dove headfirst into the grind of stage life. Vaudeville gigs, road shows, stock theater companies. It wasn't glamorous, but it was where he started to build his foundation as a performer.
Sure.
William Powell's career also didn't exactly start with a bang, but it didn't take long for him to make an impression. And after years of cutting his teeth on stage, he finally gets a break in Hollywood in the early 1920s. His first notable screen appearance came in 1922 when he played a villainous sidekick in Sherlock Holmes opposite John Barrymore. That role kickstarted a steady string of silent film appearances, over 30 in total, where he was consistently cast as the bad guy. With his sharp features and his intense stare, studios figured he was perfect for playing cads and crooks.
And he had that mustache, too.
That little tiny mustache.
You're up to no good with a mustache.
No, the devil has a little mustache like that, you know? He's got the...
Yeah.
The devil's mustache.
The devil's mustache. That sounds like an area that you shouldn't go to, like a rugged terrain or something.
Right? That's the devil's
it's a skiing
mustache.
resort, the devil's mustache.
The devil's mustache. Do you dare? But yeah, a lot of his silent films, like over 20 of them, because people didn't know how to store film back then, they get completely lost. You know, there's record of him being in them, but you can't watch them because they're gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, Powell was more than just a sinister face. When sound came to film, it was game changer. Game changer. His stage training and rich, polished voice gave him an edge many silent era stars lacked. Like, he had the theater training, so he could kind of translate that into film pretty easily. His first talkie, called Interference in 1928, showed audiences that he wasn't just good at being bad, he was pretty captivating on screen.
Yes,
and
he
especially
is.
with that voice. Yes. I will say when they were kind of leading up to the talkies, they did sort of part talkies where there would be like a handful of lines of dialogue. And the first time that he heard his voice on screen, he like stood up in the studio and ran out the door, and he was like, "I'm never doing this again. What the hell was that?" Hated his voice to start with.
Oh.
It was just awkward. But then, I mean, he gets into it, so it's okay. So then the next movie he does is The Canary Murder Case in 1929, where Powell stepped into the role of suave detective Philo Vance. Audiences were obsessed with it, and so did the studios. He played Vance in several follow-up movies to that. And around this time, he also started landing lead roles, including a notable on-screen partnership with actress Kay Francis in the early 30s. Then we get to Carole Lombard, Man of the World. I'm not going to rehash everything because Kate already covered it.
But do you want to know a fun thing? Carole always called him Philo for that because of that role.
That's so cute.
So that was her nickname for him.
They just had so many cute little things.
They did.
And Kate, you mentioned he brought her into that movie, and Powell was earning about $12,500 per week, which is $245,000 today for shooting the movie, which totaled $87,500, which in today's money is $1.75 million.
Wow.
And that was almost twice Lombard's fee,
Of course.
which was like $45,645, almost $900,000 today, so half.
Ugh.
Typical
I thought that was
Hollywood.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like according to accounts of working on the production of My Man Godfrey, the director Gregory I don't know.
Gregory?
Gregory.
The director Gregory LaCava encouraged a party atmosphere on set and told the actors to improvise where necessary. So it was super fun to shoot that movie for them.
Oh.
But it was 1934's The Thin Man that catapulted Powell into full-blown stardom. He was cast as the wisecracking, martini-sipping detective Nick Charles, opposite Myrna Loy as his equally sharp and stylish wife Nora. Studio head Louis B. Mayer wasn't sold on the casting, thinking Powell was too old and too straight-laced for the part. Bullshit. Shut your mouth.
Right?
Luckily, director W.S. Van Dyke had faith, and he was right. Shot in just over 2 weeks on a tight budget, The Thin Man became a massive hit.
2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
That's such a short turnaround time.
It's Hallmark level.
Yeah.
Hallmark movie level.
Yeah.
Cranking
Like,
them out.
Hallmark, they're just like pew 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 pew. Also, you forgot the third star of The Thin Man, the dog.
That's correct. Yeah.
Cute. Oh my god. Yeah, The Thin Man was a big hit. Powell earned his first Academy Award nomination, and the film kicked off a franchise that would span 6 movies. Powell and Loy's chemistry was so natural and infectious that audiences assumed they were married in real life. They weren't, but they did star in 13 movies together.
Whoa.
Yeah, they
So
did a ton
that
together.
chemistry was there.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Their banter, their timing, effortless charm made them one of Hollywood's most iconic screen pairings at the time. So throughout the late 1930s, Powell kept up a steady pace of work, including standout roles in The Great Ziegfeld, where he played the legendary showman, and of course, My Man Godfrey, for which he earned his second Academy Award nomination. Powell would earn 3 Oscar nominations total for The Thin Man, My Man Godfrey, and then again in 1948 for Life with a Father. He never won, though. But, I mean, 3 nominations is pretty
That's
good.
nothing to scoff at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 more than me.
Same.
He returned in Another Thin Man in 1939, which that title to me is just like... I mean, it's kind of like Another Simple Favor. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little Teen Wolf 2, TOO. Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
It's Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeak Wolf.
Yeah.
Squeakquel.
You can only have so many squeakquels before it starts to grate. We'll accept a squeakquel, but a road chip? How about when your chip wrecked? Like, no.
Amazing. So by the 1940s, Powell had transitioned into more mature, character-driven roles. In 1947, he starred in the aforementioned Life with a Father, a film he'd long hoped to make. I think he's starting at this point in his career to really get into the stories he wants to tell. So he's kind of making choices based on his own personal admiration of the character, etc. He also charmed audiences as a bumbling politician in The Senator Was Indiscreet, which
Ooh.
earned him the New York Film Critics Award for Best Actor that same year.
I'm sorry, that sounds like an adult film.
It sounds like a fake Seinfeld movie. The senator was indiscreet.
Was
It
indiscreet.
sounds like every
indiscreet.
headline about politics that we see these
Well,
days.
that's true.
Right? The senator was indiscreet.
Oh no! It makes me think of Lindsey Graham's Ladybugs.
Oh, Lindsey Graham.
Sorry to bring him up.
That's
Forget
fine.
I did that.
No, because you did, I have to tell you. So yesterday, Matt and I were going to a housewarming party, and there was a package outside when we were leaving, and Matt picks up and looks at it, and it was to Lindsey Graham, and it was for a building like a few spots down, and Matt was like, Lindsey Graham? I was like, oh God, get it out of here.
Right? That poor person. So
I
unfortunate to have
know.
the same name.
Oh, yeah.
I know. What a bummer.
You'd have to like
That's
go by a
tough.
different name. You'd have to go by
Yeah,
your middle
use
name.
the middle
right?
name. Yeah.
What if your middle name was Teddy, though? If your name was Lindsay Teddy Graham?
Teddy
that would be
Graham.
hard. I apologize. I'm sorry. Please cut that out.
So yeah, William Powell's final role comes in 1955's Mr. Roberts, where he played a weary Navy doctor alongside Henry Fonda and Jack Lemmon. It was a fitting farewell, a quiet, grounded performance full of humor. So William Powell may have played it cool on screen, but behind the scenes, his personal life was full of both romance and heartbreak. His first serious relationship bloomed on the road. During a touring production of Within the Law, Powell met fellow stage actress Eileen Wilson. They married. Oh, they loved each other fast. It was quick. They married in 1915 and had one son, William David Powell. But the marriage fizzled not long after their son's birth, and though they didn't officially divorce until 1930, they'd been separated for years before they got a divorce. Eileen kind of faded into the background, but Powell remained a constant in his son's life. Wilson died in 1942 at the age of 48. From what I don't know, all the articles say due to illness, which no shit.
That'll do it.
42 is a rough year for William Powell in terms of loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will.
So then we get into Carole Lombard. Then comes Jean Harlow. Powell and Harlow met on the set of the movie Reckless, which came out in 1935. And despite a nearly 20-year age gap, they quickly became inseparable. Harlow was head over heels, and Powell was cautious but clearly smitten with her. Harlow wanted to get married, but Powell hesitated at first. Instead of a proposal, he gave her a 102 carat sapphire ring that she jokingly called her unengagement ring.
He strung her along.
Yeah.
He really did. In 1937, tragedy struck. Harlow became seriously ill while filming the movie Saratoga. At first, doctors misdiagnosed her symptoms as the flu, and in reality, she was in kidney failure. Powell rushed to be with her at the hospital, but it was too late. She died at just 26 years old.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, 26 comes up more than once in this episode.
Yeah.
Not a great time to be alive, apparently.
Numerology heads sound off in the comments about their lovers dying at 26.
Isn't it the 26 club?
27.
Oh, it's the 27 club.
Oh, wow.
So she was 1 year away.
Rumors swirled that her final words were his name. That was never confirmed, but Powell was crushed and devastated in a way that even close friends had never seen. At her funeral, he reportedly collapsed in grief. After losing Jean, Powell's health took a nosedive. In 1938, he was diagnosed with rectal cancer. It was a grim prognosis at the time, but doctors tried an experimental treatment involving radium pellets placed directly inside his body. For 6 months, he endured the procedure. It was insanely painful and super isolating. But it worked. The cancer went into remission, and Powell later credited the treatment with saving his life.
Can
He
I
returned to work.
can
Hold
I
on.
ask?
Are you? Yeah.
Yeah, let's.
Same question.
Where-
Same question.
Where exactly were the pellets inserted?
Well, I would say his asshole.
Okay. That's what I assumed, given the butt cancer
Yeah.
of it all.
Yes. correct.
Radium pellets.
It's funny because he lived.
I mean, like, that's great,
Yeah.
but ow. Ow.
And also,
Yeah.
like,
Super painful.
I can't imagine just carrying around radium inside your body all that time is going to have a great
It's like
long-term
so
effect.
they cured his cancer with a radioactive butt plug. Is basically what we're
Yeah.
saying here,
Yeah,
right?
a radioactive butt
Yeah.
plug.
Okay.
It was in a little shape of him with a tiny mustache.
They called it the Thin Man when they used it on other people
Thin
later.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, we can prescribe you a Thin Man. You just have to insert it once a week.
That's the treatment name.
Yep.
Oh, Thin Man. That doesn't sound too bad.
Oh, you just wait.
It's the mustache that gets you because it kind of comes out a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
You're not expecting it.
A butt IUD.
Wow.
Spank banks and radioactive butt plugs. What an episode.
That's what you get for having a crossover with our podcast.
That's
the title.
Go get your girl in a nutshell.
Oh, amazing. So, right. So, yeah. So after his butt cancer, he returns to work in 1939. And in 1940, something unexpected happens. He falls in love again. Powell met actress Diana Lewis, 27 years old at the time. The wives are young. We know that. 27 years. Sorry, she's not 27. 27 years his.
I was going to say she was a lot younger than 27.
My bad. 27 years his
Oh,
junior.
no.
So
She was a teenager.
she's basically like
She was like
barely legal. Yeah.
like
Oh,
18.
no.
She was 19, I want to say.
He was 19.
William.
Mm-hmm.
And he was how old? He was going on 50.
1892 to 1940. He
Oh.
was going on 50, 48
Oh.
at the time. 3 weeks later, after they meet, they're married.
Damn.
His friends were like, what? What's going on? They were super skeptical. Like, who is this young woman? But the match stuck. And Diana, whom Powell affectionately called Mousy, brought a calming, steadying presence to his life. And the two retreated from the Hollywood spotlight at this time and remained happily married for 44 years, all the way up to Powell's death.
Wow.
Powell's last movie was Mr. Roberts in 1955, but life had one more heartbreak in store for William. In 1968, Powell's only son with his first wife, William David Powell, who was now a television writer and producer, died by suicide.
Oh.
He'd been struggling with health issues, including hepatitis and kidney problems, as well as depression. And he left behind a 4-page letter for his father. Most of that was kept private, but the final lines were made public. Quote, "Things aren't too good down here. I'm going where it's better."
Oh,
That's awful.
that's so
Yeah.
sad.
Powell was absolutely gutted. He never spoke publicly about the loss, but those close to him said that it left a permanent mark.
Of course.
William Powell passed away on March 5th, 1984, at the age of 91 in Palm Springs,
Wow.
California. He died of pneumonia at Desert Hospital with his wife of 44 years, actress Diana Mousy Lewis, by his side. In his final years, Powell had faced declining health due to diabetes, but had otherwise enjoyed a long retirement filled with golf, quiet living, and the peaceful desert life he loved. He was laid to rest at Desert Memorial Park in Cathedral City, California, beside his wife and his only son, William David Powell. After his death, the longtime friend and screen partner Myrna Loy from The Thin Man paid tribute to him, calling him a brilliant actor, a delightful companion, a great friend, and above all, a true gentleman.
Oh,
And that is William Powell.
oh, bless him. I love that he made it to 91 regardless of the radium butt plugs.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't have that lasting of an effect.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised he made it to 91. Very impressed.
There was Lux Radio Theater, which would have stars of these old movies like come on and do like a radio play of the movie. They did it with My Man Godfrey, and Cecil B. DeMille was the host at that time. And I found the clip of it. I mean, you can listen to the whole episodes of all of these, but a few of the cast performed the script over the radio. And I just want to share the clip between William and Carole at the end when they're just kind of like signing off and kind of talking. William asks Carole whether or not Godfrey and Irene would have lived happily ever after. And I just think it gives a little like glimpse into the relationship. They were both with other people at this point, but I just think it's cute. The first voice you're going to hear is William Powell, and then the other male in the clip is Cecil B. DeMille. So let me bring it up.
What I'd like to know is this. Now, in our play, Godfrey marries Irene.
Yes.
Now, do they or do they not live happily ever after? Does he change her? Does she change him? Or do they both stay as they are and make a go of it?
As the celebrated detective of the Thin Man films, what's your own deduction, Bill?
An absolute zero. I don't know.
Well, there's one way of finding out.
What's that, CB?
Make another picture. Let's ask our audience right now to drop a line to the Lux Radio Theater telling us whether they'd like to see more of Godfrey and Irene as Mr. and Mrs. Godfrey. If the answer is yes, I feel pretty certain that those letters will help bring another Godfrey film to the screen.
A grand idea, Mr. DeMille, and I hope you get lots of letters. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Carole.
I feel like they were really the it couple. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so sweet.
That's such a cute thing. They did that with a lot of movies. To me, I always thought it was basically like now the movie goes to television, right? It was basically what they could do instead of that. They would record it on the radio and have and let everybody be able to enjoy it, I guess. Yeah. If you missed it in the theater.
Yeah, they're fun to listen to. Well, thank you so much, Emma and Katie, for
thanks for coming here,
asking us to do a crossover, and thanks for being here. Is there anything that you guys want to plug or promote or anything? Like, by all means.
Just go check out our podcast wherever you find your podcasts. Go Get Your Girl, and we're also on Instagram at Go Get Your Girl Pod. And
And you can listen to Kevin and I on Go Get Your Girl on their episode that came out yesterday, which was Sunday. And you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Spotify at
Horrorwood Podcast.
Or you can send us an email at
horrorwoodpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you're rich, like Bess's grandfather, Carole's great-grandfather, maybe give some of that to us over on Patreon at
patreon.com/horrorwoodpodcast.
As we say here at Horrorwood, don't do murder. And also, maybe don't break into people's houses just because you want them to divorce your boyfriend. It feels a little illegal. I don't know. It's spicy, and I do like it.
I mean, it worked out for her.
It did.
yeah.
Or do it and just let's just all say fuck it. You know?
Yeah, you do you, girl.
Exactly. Keep it spicy. Keep it zesty.
Keep it zesty. Add that to the spank bang.